What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another sports betting video, and a real up and down kind of weekend. Pardon me. On for me, most specifically on last night's game, but we'll get to that in a moment. So the first one, I said it. I'm pretty sure I said it in the last video. This Jaguars-Bills game. This was a game the Bills, in typical Bills fashion, would lose. And sure enough, no matter how hard the Jaguars tried to give them every opportunity to steal the game away, the Bills just gave it right back to the Jags. And man, you want to talk about sloppy, inconsistent, and also brutal when it comes to injuries. The Bills, they had a lot of key players go down with injury. And I think the Jags may have had a few as well. But that was a game where I said ultimately if I was going to bet, I would bet the spread on the Jaguars. And sure enough, they covered. I actually did end up betting this game on Sunday morning. Remember, I said I was going to be out of town, so I had to do that video for the weekend's games on Friday, and I did it in a bit of a rush, and I also had to place most of my bets because the only app that was going to work where I was going to be DraftKings. So, but DraftKings had a promo, maybe some of you saw it, the bet and get live bet between the Jags and Bills, and it was I think it was like a $20 minimum, and you can get $10 back if the bet loses. So I went ahead and I bet $20 on -2.5 when the Jaguars went up 11-0, and I proceeded to sweat the entire game because it just constantly looked like the Jags were going to give it away, but they came out on top. So thankfully that one paid off. Good on the Jaguars. They obviously had an advantage staying in London the entire week. So, but there were some serious injuries on the Bills side, and I have to check up. I do have the injury list here that's going to definitely play a factor into this coming week's games. Saints and Patriots, just a god-awful game for the Patriots. The Saints, again, this was a game that I was staying away from, and I don't think anybody had any clue that this was going to be the result. This was just flat out bad, and it was not a good look. Really not much to say outside the Saints defense just played lights out. I didn't even watch the highlights for the game. It was just that ugly. Because typically, I'm pretty sure Derek Carr played. Typically, I don't trust Derek Carr this year after what I've seen so far. So, but the fact that their defense was able to create that much havoc for the Patriots to leave them with 0 points. That's just crazy. The Colts-Titans game, that was one that I took last second again over the weekend. I took them at +3. I took the Colts at +3, and that was one that's where I was leaning. Again, they had more injuries for the Colts, and they still were able to pull out the win. Again, Tannehill just looks like Tannehill. I'm not very impressed with him, and I don't think the Titans can stay consistent with him at quarterback. The Colts, it seems to not matter who they have at quarterback. Zach Moss, I believe that was their running back, had a career day on the ground, and that was the X factor. And also just both Richardson and Minshew, playing, making plays when they needed to in the passing game. Another game that I was hesitant on betting, and I ultimately didn't, but the Steelers and Ravens. How about the Steelers coming out on top, covering their spread, 17-10. Both sides of the ball did not look impressive at all. And I said this is typical Steelers-Ravens rivalry football, two teams that know each other very well. Tomlin has been there for, I mean, it seems like, ever since I was in high school. So he knows this team very well and is a good coach. Probably one of the best coaches in in Steelers history. And this was a game where I was saying, like, this is a game I can see the Steelers covering their spread or just flat out winning. And sure enough, and at the end of the game, they pulled it out. Lions-Panthers, despite the Panthers putting up 24 points mainly in garbage time, the Lions just were lights out again. And like I said, I had no problem taking their -9, -10 spread, because Dan Campbell is someone who does not let up on the gas pedal. And at one point, I think they were up 28-7 or 28-3, or it was 28-7, I believe. And so I'm not surprised at all about that one. Jared Goff again is looking like the underdog of the year, even though he played very well last year. The Lions clearly look like the front runners to win the NFC North, and good for them. Heck, they may even make it to the championship the way they're playing ball. Falcons Texans. This was like a bar brawl. Like I watched the highlights of this game, and it was a knuckle dragger. But the Falcons, Desmond Ridder continues his undefeated home streak, both in college and the pros, and they came out on top 21-19, and everyone, I understand why there's reason to be hyped up about CJ Stroud and all that stuff, but I can't get over the fact that his first game against the Ravens, and I know, week 1, first game, blah, 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 I feel like within the past few weeks, he hasn't played a defense as talented as the Baltimore Ravens, and I watched the highlights, I watched some of the game of him against the Ravens, and he just looked lost. Looked like he didn't know what he was doing. And the Ravens pretty much just shut them down. And ever since then, he's played very well, but ultimately, in my opinion, not against some of the best defenses. I mean, I guess you can say the Colts, but the Colts definitely aren't a top 10 defense. So we'll see as time goes on. The Falcons, on the other hand, they just keep finding ways to win. Despite a lot of glaring weaknesses, they continue to find ways to win games. And it'll be interesting to see going forward. We'll take a look at the schedule here for next week in a minute. Dolphins, again, another game where I was comfortable taking the double-digit spread for the Dolphins, especially early on. There were, again, many opportunities for the Giants to backdoor cover and screw everyone over, but the Dolphins thankfully held on and they won the game. Again, more injuries in this game, which is going to really affect the Dolphins going forward. Bengals Cardinals. From what I had seen, and I can't remember if I said this in the video last week, from what I had seen from the Bengals, this was another game I was staying away from. But a part of, the reason why was because I can see this being a game where the Bengals look like the old Bengals and actually play very well, or this could be the game where the Bengals play like the Bengals of late and just screw everyone over who's, continuing that -3, those low spread numbers to eventually get that win. Well, if you went ahead and played them, you got your money's worth. Jamar Chase setting the franchise record for receptions in a game, fantastic. They had a great game on both sides of the ball. Eagles-Rams, this was the one that I had talked about all week, and I'm completely blown that the Rams just couldn't bring themselves to score 20 points. They just couldn't do it. No matter how hard they tried, and no matter how many opportunities that I watched part of this game, and this game was all over the place. And ultimately, the Rams fell flat, and everyone continues to want. I remember everyone before the season, Philly has the hardest schedule, and I'm like, I looked at the first few weeks, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like, this is the easiest schedule you could ask for. Like it's like everyone was like, especially that Tampa Bay game, everyone was smashing the Tampa Bay spread, and I was like, it's Baker Mayfield in prime time we're talking about here, guys. Like, really? Come on. You guys have to be better betters than that. I avoided that as much, like with all I had. Maybe I had some player props. I don't even remember. I'd have to go back and look. Jets Broncos, very very good game by the Jets. Even though the offense was inconsistent, defensively this Jets team is looking like one of the best defenses in football. And the Broncos just continue to look lost, offensively, and yeah, I wasn't really impressed by either offense, even though I am kind of silently rooting for Zach Wilson because I love the underdog. I felt like he didn't get a fair shake just because, like, bad offensive line play, bad run game. Really ultimately only having one receiver in his rookie year. Or actually, no, his rookie year, he didn't have anybody. And then, it was an up and down year, constant quarterback carousel last year, and they had Garrett Wilson. So, we'll see if Zach Wilson can string it together being forced into the starting position. And I give respect to, oh God, I always forget his name, the Jets coach, for sticking with him. And right now they're 2-3? They're 2-3 right now. So we'll see what happens going into next week. Chiefs, again, that -5 was just too good to pass up, and they were able to pull it off despite the Vikings nearly coming back to tie the game. And we all know what would have happened. The Chiefs would have won by 3 after that. So thankfully, the Chiefs defense did what they had to do, and they shut down the Vikings comeback. Feel bad for the Vikings. I feel like Minnesota is really wasting the golden years of Kirk Cousins, and who knows how many more seasons he can put together of him throwing for 445, 5,000 pass yards and 30 plus touchdowns. I feel bad for the Vikings. I feel bad for the Vikings fans. I feel bad for Kirk Cousins. It just seems like this team has constantly found ways to put themselves into a roster hole on one side of the ball or the other. And this year, it's the defense. Just like last year, their defense was god-awful. The only reason they won was because of Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. As for the Chiefs, again, I feel like they're just week in and week out, give or take a game or two, they've honestly looked like they're underperforming by a lot. Receivers struggling to get open. So I would, going forward, depending on who the opponent is, depending on where that spread sits, I would continue to take either the Chiefs. If it's -5 or lower, take it. But if it starts to go higher, I'd start taking their opponents, depending on who the opponent is on that spread. On the underdog, I should say. Wow. You want to talk about the Vegas getting those odds wrong. Holy crap. +3.5, no problemo, the 49ers said. How about a +28 or a -28? How about that? Or a -30? This was like a college game, where you had the number one, you had the top dog facing like a bottom ranked, school. Christian McCaffrey extends his streak on games with touchdowns. Brock Purdy continues to look like the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. George Kittle looking like vintage Kittle with 3 touchdowns. This is the defense playing lights out and holding the Cowboys to 10 points and walking all over that vaunted defense. Now, again, they're without Trayvon Diggs, which I knew was going to really hurt them once he went down with that injury. But I didn't think it would be this bad. And but here's the funny part. I still think the Cowboys can beat most of the teams in the NFC. I still believe that. Despite them getting their ass whipped in San Francisco, I still think the Cowboys can beat most of the teams in the NFC. Give or take like obviously, the 49ers, they would need a drastic overhaul of what they game plan for. But I still see them as a, despite the inconsistencies, I still see them as a playoff team. And, this just could have been one of those days, kind of like how, Denver gave up 70 points to the Dolphins. Just one of those weeks. But yeah, very impressed. I think CMC should really be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year. Same with, obviously Tyreek Hill. But going forward, again, that's another thing to mention. Tyreek Hill, another 100-plus yard day with a touchdown. Going back to the just absolute, crap fest last night. I actually stayed up, despite the fact I had to be up so doggone early this morning for work. I stayed up to watch this game because I had the Packers early on in the week at -3, and then I had them even at the plus 2.5. I had them, and man, a lot of everything went wrong for the Packers last night. Nothing went right. Even when the Raiders tried to give them a chance to win the game, the Packers just could not help themselves but to give it back. And so it honestly looks like this Packers team, despite their flashes with Jordan Love, I find it hard to believe, even with the absence of Aaron Jones, that this team is that bad without him. You know what I mean? So I think this might come down to, obviously offensive line play, but also quarterback play. But Devontae Adams got his revenge, and I guess that's going to be the factor going forward. Is can this offense throw the ball when they don't have Aaron Jones? He's definitely the X factor, and that defense. The Green Bay defense played very well. They lost a player or two, I think, in the game, but even without them, they still played pretty well. They were able to keep giving their offense chances to tie the games, win the game, and they just couldn't be bothered to do it. They said nah. But that one was a tough one. It was a rough one. So those were some really bad turnouts for two games that I really thought were locks. The other two obviously panned out, the Lions and Dolphins. And did I have another one? No. Chiefs. Yeah. Taking a look at injuries, I'm just going to scroll through these real fast. I'm just going to go through some of the major ones. James Conner for the Cardinals, it's looking like he's going to be out multiple weeks due to a knee injury. He may be placed on IR. So that's a big loss for the Cardinals. He was obviously playing really well, and for fantasy owners as well. The Falcons. Big one was offensive tackle McGarry, suffered a knee injury. They say it's nothing major. Same with Calais Campbell's injury. It doesn't seem to be anything serious. The Ravens, their guard left with a chest injury. It's worth monitoring. Let's see. The Bills. We all know Tre'Davious White left with the Achilles. Matt Milano, he has a fractured leg and is also feared to have suffered a season-ending knee injury. Yeah, so that is a big loss because he was playing probably the best football of his career to start the season, and now it's looking like he's going to miss the season. Knox suffered a wrist injury. Depending on the extent, playing tight end, if you're having wrist pain, that's really going to stop you from doing a lot of things. And to top it off, their rookie tight end Dalton Kincaid was questionable, but I don't see any comments here. And then Daquan Jones, D tackle, pec injury. Looks like they're going to be following up with an MRI or something like that. Hopefully, it's not a torn pectoral, which is season ending. So, worth keeping an eye on. They were also without Greg Rousseau, which was another big one. Let's see. A bad stinger for guard Zavala for the Panthers. Really not much else there. For the Bears is, let's see. Doubtful. Okay, so Kyler Gordon, cornerback, is going to be returning from injured reserve. Okay, so these people are returning from injured reserve. Okay. Bengals, no new injuries here. Just players that missed the game last week. October 10th, Watson is considered day-to-day as of Tuesday to bruised rotator cuff. Ooh, that sucks. That really sucks. I know definitely how bad shoulder injuries can be, especially the rotator cuff. So hopefully he's able to heal that and not have any more issues. Cowboys, looks like they had a number of people get hurt. Kevontae Turpin had a nice touchdown in that game. He hurt his ankle. Donovan Wilson, right leg injury. Got in the fourth quarter, too, when you're already losing bad. That sucks. Goodwin, ooh, yeah, torn pec for their defensive back. Yeah, and I said this when they lost Trayvon Diggs. They need to go out and they need to sign someone like Cameron Dantzler if he's not with anybody. They really need to find some good like veteran who can play. We saw Philadelphia already grab Bradley Roby, so Leighton Vander Esch, yeah. Ooh, what? Oh, that sucks. A neck injury. He's going to be on IR. Ooh, never mind, man. I'm a big Vander Esch fan, and I don't know who their reserves are at linebacker. Losing him, if it's a season-ending injury, if he's not on, I don't know. I'm not really up to date on how the IR, destined to return designations are. But if he's unable to come back, that is a huge blow to that defense that's already missing key players. That really sucks. So, yeah, Dallas might be in some trouble on defense. The Broncos, they have a ton of players that left the game. Jones, okay, Mondays. Oh, Estebet Mondays practice. Okay, all right, that's not much. The Lions lost a lot of players. Zonovan Knight with a shoulder injury. Emmanuel Mosley tore his ACL. That sucks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's pretty good playing, but is blah, blah, blah. Despite his abdomen injury. Well, he didn't play. Oh, this was today, so they're thinking about this week. These guys just missed the game. Oh, Gardner Johnson's on IR. I did not know that. That sucks. Damn. Lions got hit hard with some key injuries here. Packers, these guys. Savage had a calf injury. That's big. Quay Walker left with a knee injury. That sucks. I'll have to follow up on that one. Tank Dell is in concussion protocol for the Texans. All right, Richardson is dealing with an AC joint sprain. Oh, damn, that sucks. Yeah, he may be out for a couple of weeks. Those AC sprains can really be a pain in the ass to get over, and it doesn't specify if it's his throwing shoulder. It must have been. Jacksonville. Zay Jones is considered day-to-day. Went over the Bills. Okay, that's not bad. After suffering an elbow injury, he's expected to be fine. Walker Little, MRI on his knee. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Kelsey's knee injury apparently wasn't anything serious. Obviously, he came back and pretty much caught the game winner touchdown there. Raiders, some people exited the game. These are just inactives. Nothing serious there. The Chargers were on the bye, so a lot of these guys are just, these are all questionable. Rams, Bobby Brown III, grade 3 MCL sprain. That really hurts. That hurts. All right, Dolphins. Yeah, this was a big one. Devon Achane, one of my favorite new players this year, is going to be missing multiple weeks due to a knee injury, so that really hurts them. It's going to put more of a load on, what's the running back's name? Is it Raheem Mostert? So hopefully he'll be okay. The Vikings, Jefferson, I think, has a hamstring injury, so that's going to be worth keeping an eye on. Nick Mullins. Oh, is that? Oh, he's a backup quarterback. Okay, never mind. Patriots, exited Sunday's loss with a knee injury. Pepper's questionable, ruled out for the remainder of Sunday's game with an ankle injury. Yeah, dang, they lost a lot of people in that game. Tyquan Thornton's on IR. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Taking him off of IR. Never mind. Okay. Saints, JT Gray. Okay, yeah, nothing serious. Giants, yeah, Daniel Jones has a neck injury. Yeah, it's so many players. I mean, geez, you could look at all these players that just left that game. Even Tyrod Taylor was getting banged up, but you could see he was visibly hurting. Vera Tucker's going to undergo further testing for his calf injury against the Broncos. That'd be a big loss. Philadelphia, Cam Jurgens is on injured reserve with his foot injury. And then the rest of these players were all questionable to begin with. It looks like Deontay Johnson is going to be back. And let's see, TJ Watt, both sacks. Well, I don't know. Oh, questionable. That was, I guess, before the game. I don't know. Or he looked fine. He was there to the last play of the game. So, 49ers, Aaron Banks suffered a shoulder injury. It doesn't look like anything serious. Seahawks were on the bye, so nothing much there. Bucks were on the bye. Tennessee Titans, no injuries. And Commanders played on Thursday. And Reeves suffered partially torn ACL. That sucks. Probably going to miss the rest of the season. All right, so that's it for the injuries. Let's take a quick gander at this week coming up, including Thursday's matchup between the Broncos and Chiefs. Depending on where that line is opening up at, let's see if we can pull up. Let's see if Odds Jam wants to work today, right? Let's see, where are we at? Foosball. All right, so the money line, they don't have the spreads yet. So right now is the money line minus 463. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. So there's nothing there as of yet. I can probably, I'm going to take a look at, I don't know why it's not showing anything there. I'm going to take a look at one of my sports books that's easy to get into, that doesn't have me logging in and then getting sent a secret code to press in, and so I can, log in, so I can access my account. You know what I mean? NFL. Right now, on DraftKings, the spread is plus 10.5, minus 10.5. So this one, I would actually, as of right now, I would be interested in taking the plus 10.5 for the Broncos, just because I haven't seen the inconsistency in scoring for the Chiefs, and I don't know if I'm comfortable taking that 10.5. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm comfortable taking that 10.5. So yeah, that's that on that one. We've got Ravens Titans. After losing that last game against, that's going to be in London. Okay, so this is how I feel about all these London games going forward. Take the underdog. Take the Titans. Look at the Titans. Look at where their line is. Those games are always close. It's I think in a game like this, it can be close. Panthers, Dolphins. Okay, Dolphins all the way. Again, you got to look at the spread because the Panthers defense got crushed. So, I mean, usually their defenses are usually pretty good, but yeah. So Dolphins obviously is what I'm looking at. If you can get as low of a spread as possible on them and make some good money out of it. Saints, Texans. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is going to be a test for CJ Stroud. Let's see how he does against the Saints defense after what they've consistently been a top tier defense throughout this year. Let's see how they play against the Saints. Depending on what the spread is, I would actually look at the Saints. I would imagine the Texans would be favorites, but after that win against the Patriots, the Saints are probably going to be favorites. So it might be one of those -1, +1, -2, +2 spreads. So, but I would lean Saints on this one, depending on what the spread is. So we got to take a look at that later on. Maybe when I make my Thursday video, I'll do that. Commanders and Falcons. Personally, with the way Sam Howell played against Philadelphia, I would lean on the Commanders just because I feel like they have a more well-rounded team, but it depends on if the Commanders can stop the run. If Bijan Robinson is able to bounce back and have a great game against the Commanders, then I would lean the Falcons. If the Falcons can control the game, I don't know if the Commanders can keep up. Hopefully that spread is low, so we'll have to take a look. Colts Jags. After two big wins in London, coming home and resting, I would think, and especially if it's nothing against Gardner Minshew, he's a fine backup, but you lose that dual threat with Richardson being out. I would expect the Jaguars to win this one, so we'd have to look at the spread on that. Hawks Bengals. That's going to be a great game. I think that's in Cincinnati, so that's probably going to be one of those close, spread numbers again. Really, the big factors will be injuries. The Seahawks, the Seahawks coming off the bye are going to be as healthy as they've been, so we'll have to take a look. Vikings Bears. This has all the markers for a shootout, but again, this looks like one of those games that Justin Fields goes back to old Justin Fields. So I don't know. But as bad as the Vikings defense is in the pass, I think this could be a shootout. So this one might be worth looking at what the overall points are. 49ers Browns, I expect the 49ers easily handle them. I don't know how I feel about the spread, but if you're doing like a small parlay, maybe throw the money line in there. Take a look. Take a look at that later. Patriots Raiders. I have to go the Raiders. I mean, I would have to lean on the Raiders after that embarrassing loss. But again, this feels like the money is all going to pour in on the Raiders after what we saw last night and what we saw on Sunday with the Patriots. And this could be one of those games where the Patriots cover the spread. You know what I mean? So that's just how the universe is, man. The Lions Buccaneers, that'll be a fun game to watch. I'm gonna be on the Lions just because I'm rooting for them all the way this year. And also I trust Jared Goff more than I trust Baker Mayfield, and the Buccaneers pass defense is not that great. Not that great at all. Cardinals Rams, I think the Rams bounce back and easily beat the Cardinals. Eagles Jets, which Jets team is going to show up this week? Which Eagles defense is going to show up this week? I don't know. Obviously, I feel like all the money is going to pour into the Eagles, and with that being said, the Jets may cover the spread. Again, that's just how the universe works. Giants Bills, I feel sorry for everyone that lives in New York. Everyone that's a fan of the Giants, I should say, because the Bills are in New York. I was going to say everyone that lives in New York, minus the people in Buffalo. Buffalo easily gets this one in my opinion. And then Monday Night Football, Cowboys Chargers. I feel like this one's going to be a close game. This one's going to be a really close game, and I would expect the Cowboys to cover the spread. If Austin Eckler is healthy, which I don't see why he shouldn't after the bye week, that could be the deciding factor, and you might be able to get the Chargers minus 3, 4. I don't know. We'll have to take a look. So yeah, those are that's the early look at this coming week. So I hope you all got some good information out of this. Hope you all were successful on Sunday. My apologies if you took all of my bets and some of them lost. And I'm sorry if the only ones you took were the ones that lost. So we'll see if we can bounce back this week. And I'm actually going to be in town, not going anywhere. So I'll be able to make a video on Saturday and give my final picks. And we will see you all later. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on the way out. Comment and let me know how you did on the weekend. And please don't bash me too much. I'll see you all later.